Good evening and welcome to our second in a series of Aero South Africa webinars. The theme for this one is Safety First Aviator, Prop Clear. My name is Neil Piper, the Head of Content for Messi Frankfurt, South Africa, and I will be one of your hosts today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my colleague, Annelie Reynolds, the Show Director of Aero South Africa, to welcome you and to give you a short introduction into Aero South Africa. Annelie, welcome and over to you.
Thanks, Neil. Good evening, everyone. As Neil mentioned, my name is Annelie Reynolds and I'm the Show Director for Aero South Africa. Thank you for joining us tonight for the second installment in the series of Safety First Aviator webinars. As you all know, the nature of business has transformed during the past 6 months and working remotely has become increasingly common. COVID-19 has led us to looking at different opportunities of doing business, and the general aviation sector is no exception, as this industry was grounded for some time. As there was no Aero South Africa physical event this year either, we launched the Aero South Africa virtual marketplace at the end of August to create a platform for the general aviation industry, both local and international, to network and conduct business safely without leaving the comfort of their homes or their offices. This is an interactive online platform where exhibitors can showcase products, visitors can download brochures and access other relevant files. Visitors and exhibitors can network in the networking lounge and also set up one-on-one meetings from the exhibitor's stand. We're also constantly uploading content to this platform. For example, tonight's webinar recording and the presentation will be available to view on the virtual marketplace tomorrow. If you have not yet registered as a visitor on this innovative platform, please visit virtualaerosouthafrica.co.za. That's virtualaerosouthafrica.co.za and complete the online registration form. There is no cost for visitors to register. Should you be interested in booking a virtual stand on this platform for your business, please feel free to leave a message in the chat function and I will get back to you with more information. And now, over to your host for the evening, Frans Smit.
Thank you, Annelie. And before we get into Frans, he's such a good guy. I have to do a short introduction because you know.
Stop it, I like it.
100%. So Frans is going to moderate the session today. He's the founder and MD of Pilot Insure, a specialist and boutique advice firm focusing on investments and risk cover for pilots. He's a big supporter of general aviation. He's participated in competition flying. He's a Saftey board member. He's got a lifelong passion for aviation, has his finger on the pulse of all facets of the aviation sector. He's got over a decade in the financial services field, and he's uniquely positioned to help form insights into general aviation. So we're very happy and very pleased to have you along for us tonight, Frans. So over to you.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks a lot for that. It makes me sound a bit cooler than what I really am. But I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. I'm not going to argue any of those points. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. The second installment of our Safety First Aviator campaign. Ramping up, getting better and better. The content you'll notice is getting more interesting as we go on, a bit more current, a bit more what's going on in the real world out there. And from us and the panelists, especially, their views on what's important for you to look out for, where they'll help for you as an aviator, as a pilot. And I think before I start introducing all the panelists and going through all that, I just want to really thank you for being here. You know, you guys that are here tonight that have set out this hour to come listen to us, watch us, get involved in safety for yourself in a big way just by doing that, you would make a much better pilot than the guy who's deciding to rather sit in the bar tonight. So big round of applause for you just for being here. Thank you very much. This is really, I think, why we all do this. is to keep us all safer when we're flying, when we're in the air. And, you know, aviation has definitely picked up. I think we've all felt this over the last 2 weeks. I mean, we definitely have, you know, we've had 5 GA events in the first 2 weekends after level 1. And everyone's super passionate to get out there, get back in the sky again, get back in the air. And that's been amazing because that's opened up, you know, along with this platform, it's opened up a lot of opportunities to have conversations with guys at the events about, you know, general safety. And what's been really amazing is almost everyone coming out and saying, you know, I noticed I'd forgotten this little thing, or, you know, the 3-4 months that I didn't fly, I should have taken more care of a certain sector of my flying. And that's really positive for us to see that even though we've been down and on the ground for a long time, that the safety culture continues and the safety culture grows. So very excited. Thank you very much for being here. It's my pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here. My absolute pleasure to introduce the panelists tonight. This is very interactive. We'd love to have your questions. We'd love to answer them. This is a very casual approach. We might stop in between to ask questions, to take questions and answer them. We might involve your questions in while we're talking or one of the panelists is speaking. So very much an interactive session. We want to engage with you guys, and especially if you have any ideas that you'd like us to deal with in future presentations. Ask it in the questions section. Please reach out to all of us. I think for most of us, it's pretty easy to get hold of. And that's my bit. We'll run through the presentations, ask and answer questions towards the end. Keep it nice and short and sweet for tonight, punchy to the point. And on that, I'm very, very, very honored to have Kobus Turin with us again tonight. I'm sure most of our panelists needs very little introduction. Kobus spent his entire life in aviation, starting in the SAF, very good and proud SAF history. And went on to the airlines, is now retired from the airlines, but a very big part of ALPA SA. Kobus, thanks very much for joining us. It's lovely, to, as always, to spend some time with you, Kobus.
Thanks, Frans. Now let me see if I can do the handover. You are ready to share the screen. Act 1, cut 2. Thanks, I've got the screen now. Just shout and tell me whether you see the screen there. I'm just going to redo the share. There we go. Is that working? Is it there, Frans? Great stuff. Good evening, everybody. From the welcome last time, I'm going to cut it short, and we did the launch. And tonight we're running into the show, our first session. And thanks to everybody that made it possible. Neil and Annelie, especially Annelie, has been working very hard at this, answering all our stupid questions. So prop clear, you understand why. It's the beginning of flying. And then from ALPA SA as well, the National Voice of Pilots. We always say pilots for pilots by pilots, and not necessarily and never really only airline pilots. We're there to help everybody. What I would like to discuss is this thing called resilience. I mean, to me, resilience was a new word. And when I heard it the first time, I thought anything to do or something to do with Richelieu. But then I realized if you don't have resilience, then you take Richelieu. So what I'd like to discuss very quick is resilience through humility, airmanship, growth mindset, critical thinking. We do not have much time, so I'll try and cover as much of that as I can. Then, I just want to play you this video. It didn't play well last time. What has changed?
This is your pilot speaking. My name is Adrian Oberhensli. I'm working from home today.
Well, fortunately, it hasn't come to that as yet, but I see now with conferences that Airbus and the people are talking about, not so much Airbus, that single pilot operation, and soon they won't want any pilots in the cockpit. Okay, you be the first passenger, you're welcome. So what has changed? So many things have changed. The first thing is maybe the mask. And where's my mask? Oh, sorry, I'm not wearing it, but I'm at home. There's so many things that have changed. For instance, we haven't flown in a long time. That is a major problem. Not a problem, yeah, it's a problem. For pilots, it's a major problem. But there's new opportunities, and we have to grasp and grab the opportunities. We have a lot of our minds, really, people. My good old friend Carl is there as well. He said he's flying, and it was so nice to fly again, but there's so many things that came back, and he thought, yes, maybe it's time to rethink, guys. CRM, things like that. And anytime, please contact me, contact ALPA. You don't have to be an airline guy to seek our assistance, and we try and help. What is ironical, we used to have that, that's our cockpits, wasn't it? Lekker. And then it changed to that. And that used to be used in jest in the CRM, but it's become a reality. And that is so sad. Can you imagine the psychological effects from COVID alone? People without jobs, SAA, SACS, just think about those guys sitting there waiting. And I'm not even forgetting about all our commercial pilots. General aviation, they have their own things as well that, you know, I don't know whether you can fly, you can't fly, you just never know. One thing I read, and I want to read it to you, every opportunity that presents itself in this new normal is growth. Take it, try it. The worst that can happen is you learn something. Well, there we go. Let's try and do that. Next up is another thing that I mentioned in the launch as well. The nature has flourished. And I think we come to realize that imagine Earth without human. It will flourish. It doesn't need humans. But anyway, we are there. So look out for the birds and look out for the kudus. The kudus are wandering in the garden. So they'll be at the airfield. And they've already had some of the bird strikes as well. So that can happen. So what can we do? Expect the unexpected. If you see that runway, that is not only Chuck Yeager, you never know what you're going to get next. And be prepared. You're just not sure prepared for what, but understand change. The nice thing about change is that we don't understand it. But the problem is that if you cannot avoid it, and you can't change the change or you can't mitigate it, then you have to accept the change. And accepting the change by managing the change equals resilience. And that's what we would quickly want to brush on. I found this at Charles Darwin over the years. He said it's not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change. Life is about change. And I'm also one that doesn't like change, not really, but we have to deal with it. I'll try and make it quick. 4 cornerstones of resilience. If you remember this and nothing else, it will help as well. Anticipation, knowing what to expect. And we might not be sure exactly what to expect. We go out there. Some of you guys are lucky you started flying again. So you see things must have changed. And also remember, it might just be temporary. Never forget that. The thing is about look at the threats. What's in the future? Disruptions, pressures, what are the threats? And the ability to do this gives the potential. So it's ability to address the potential. Monitoring, knowing what to look for. As pilots, we should know what we must look out for. You're going to go fly again, monitor, see what's happening out there. And here 2 things, environment and my own ability. Maybe I'm not so sharp. There's Rusty Pilot telling you not so sharp anymore. So limitations, me, myself, and I, what is my performance? So this ability is to address the critical. Response is knowing what to do. Now, if you've figured out what is potential, what's critical, how do you respond to this? There's a lot of things you can do. Your skills, your training, your experience. And that brings you to learning, correction, the ability to address the actual. Learning, if only one is very important, is this, knowing what has happened. So a lot of people make things happen, and some people wonder what the hell has happened. We want to make things happen because that will address the factual, what is going out there. So that is very, very important. Anticipate, there we go. Notice critical disruptions and situations, let's monitor and plan how to respond. Maintain your competencies if you can. Do a check flight, very important. Use your resources, CRM. If you haven't done CRM, phone me, we'll help. Seek information, very, very important. I suppose keep calm and fly on, that will help as well. And then learn from your experience. I've quickly put this up. What I want to show you is the 4 cornerstones. They are, you can move from there to there. And sometimes I think when you start flying, you move from here. Hopefully you learn to see what is going on. And then life will become easier, hopefully. How to become a resilient pilot? This is a Falpa guy that said the best thing you can do is slow down. Buying time, slowing down. Give your mind more time to process information. I think some of us might remember this. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And here we have to really think carefully, what do we mean by that? Moving fast is rushing. So that's reckless. Can be potential to your, or even to a fatality. So if you move slowly, carefully, and deliberately, you're actually moving as fast as you can without necessarily increasing the risk on your life and that of others. That's a safe pilot. That's a resilient pilot. Slow down. Your thoughts control your actions. Look at that. So lucky to and so happy to be getting to the air, and all of a sudden the airspeed indicator, she's not working very well. Slow down. Humility above all. Humility in my English is modesty. Understand that we are not superhumans. We accept when we need help and we will seek it. We recognize our limitations. We are open to ideas and feedback from others. Now's the time to speak to others. Say, what did you experience? And we are aware of gaps in our knowledge and are open to ideas and viewpoints of others. Open mindset, we need that. So we look out for each other as we cannot do this on our own. Now, going back to 2016, we did this Know Your Spots. Now we go back to resilience. And actually, we've been teaching resilience all the time. The big thing, Know Your Spots, your hazardous attitudes and antidotes. Attitudes. Here's a problem that we have, and I think it's a big thing for gas at the moment, is this safety culture thing. Now, the problem I have is that culture starts from right at the top. And what is our national culture today? It is one of non-compliance. I think Mark Lottering was spot on when he said, the latest thing in South Africa is we see as a red robot as a mere suggestion. But we cannot take regulations and rules as mere suggestions. We just cannot do it. I'll show you more about that in a second. Your approach was in 2017, and it's a healthy approach towards safety regulations, personal and aircraft limitations. Personal and aircraft limitations. I'm not telling you anything new. That's the sad part. Airmanship, my favorite. Knowledge, skills, attitude, discipline. Now, yes, I've said that pilots and instructors, they are the main culprits, but it's also been said before that a big problem in aviation is the discipline of pilots. Now, this is one thing that we really need to take serious, and I've cited that, and we have to look at our own discipline. We have to sort that out, and we have to make hard work and get it sorted out, because you cannot regulate or enforce safety by the law or by blame. We cannot do that. We have to make sure that we start with the safety culture. That's not easy, but mind your spots. Remember that very quick, anti-authority. All I want to do is go to the greens, follow the rules, don't go fast. Imagine it can happen to you. Don't take chances. I'm not helpless, I can make a difference. And let's go out and make a difference. KSA always said, tongue-in-cheek, is kick some ass and get it going. Knowledge, skills, attitude. And that is airmanship. And I think you will agree the future of aviation lies primarily with the discipline of the individual flyers. Together we can make a safe and a good safety culture, even if we have to pull it from the bottom up. Difficult, but we have to do it. CRM principle, seek information, use your resources. There's a lot of things, guys. Go out there. There's so many things on the internet. Go and look at that. COVID-19 super manuals about flying. There's the Aero Club. They have Rusty Pilot. I enjoy that. It tells you what you have and what you don't have. It guides you. If you want this as well, there's a checklist for pilots returning with IFALPA. Now, IFALPA gives a lot of information for airline pilots, but a lot of it's valid for all the general aviation as well. If you don't know where to find it, you know who to contact. Safety first. We're trying our best as well to give more information, because everything goes about information. Quickly, mindset, established set of attitudes held by somewhere. Now, those who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. And I've learned this mindset. How do you change the attitude? A fixed mindset. It says here, just do nothing, it's impossible. I cannot do it. It's too, I don't want to change. I don't want to be resilient. Sorry, I can't help. It's almost like the hazardous attitude of just giving up. Don't want to go there. Growth, let's grow. Just do it. Nothing is impossible. And let's go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. It says a growth mindset, skills are built. Believe you can do it. We can do it. And it's not going to stay like this, but for now we have to embrace change and make the best of it. Focus. There we go. Anticipate, monitor, respond, learn. They're the 4 cornerstones. Now, critical thinking. Let me tell you a nice, good story. I thought you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. Critical thinking is thinking about your thinking. That's my type of English. Education is important and flying is important. That's what I understand. Abraham Ward found this logic called survival bias. Remember the Second World War? The Royal Air Force, the bombers were severely damaged, and they came back and they had all these holes. And somebody said, listen, guys, we have to put more armor in the aircraft. And they said, you must put armor everywhere where the aircraft been shot. So logic is we focus on things that survive, we should really looking at things that did not. And this is what the guy said, gentlemen, you need to put more armor plate where the holes aren't, because that's where the holes are on the planes that didn't return. So in other words, you have to put the armor there. Now, how's that for thinking outside the box? Critical thinking. Now, let me step into something I know it's a dangerous zone, personal debrief. Carl Jensen mentioned this as well. He's obviously done that. For Hanka, I've even put balloons in after each flight. Who of us do that? Plus, what are the pluses? They say so many pluses things. Let me try and find plus things for you. What went right? What was good? Did it go into plan? What does good like? These are new safety words that we work with. Minus, oops, what was bad? Wasn't that bad if you made it back, but I mean, there's always something that went wrong. A lot of pilots say, this went wrong. Are you sharing it with somebody? Carl shared it with me. He said, just, he just didn't feel comfortable with this and that. So find the answer before you go into your next flight. The third, what was interesting? Oh man, it airs a lot of things as well. What did you learn? Why? And if something went wrong, did you report it? Now, this is another big problem with us today is the reporting. We spent the whole day yesterday with IAC. It's an AirProx work group for the Alpha region. And the problem is we don't have many AirProx reports. And I know the AirProx is out there. Mogadishu, no. Saftey helped us. There's a few reports there. We cannot fix things if we don't know what is wrong. So anything to report, good or bad, report it. Interesting things, plus minuses. And this is what we mean with critical thinking. Because those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And I think Orwell Wright said it. How long was that ago? It's, I think, more than 2 years ago. So critical mindset. There we go. Aviate, navigate, communicate. In case of emergency, fly the airplane. And that's all we want to know. And report unsafe acts and conditions. A lot of us see things happening out there and we don't report it. A lot of us see or get involved in something that went wrong and we're too scared to report it. We have a no-blame safety culture, thank goodness, and I hope it stays like that. So do report. And if you don't know where to report, ask your safety officer. If you still don't know, contact me, contact any one of us, and we'll try and assist. Remember, resilience, it's a personality trait that you either have or you don't. No, not at all. It's something you can develop or strengthen with practice and intent, but you need to have both. And that's about all I want to say about that, because that's what we do. We fly and we know things, but you have to share them as well. Don't let resilience become serendipity. This is a big word for me. Unplanned fortunate discovery. For me, it's just bad luck. It mustn't be, or good luck rather. Well, there was no TCAS, but that went so quick, I'll play it again. Remember, you are the pilot. Your responsibility is to think about the consequences of every choice you make. And that is what we do. So thank you. You just keep safe out there. And if we don't do this, then we have to listen to Sankey, which is next. Thank you.
Thanks, Clovis. Awesome insight as always. I love the way you angle that and talk about thinking about thinking. I think that's where the real learning happens. You know, taking your time, taking it slow, taking it easy, figuring it out before it even happens. That's how wars are won and captains of industries are born, and it's the same everywhere. Definitely very applicable to aviation, that's for sure. Excuse me. Okay, guys, moving swiftly along. Psyche White, again, one of the super famous, most beautiful people in aviation by a long shot. And I'm not just talking about her face, I'm also referring to her heart. Sankey, as you guys know, is pretty much chief in charge of all things safety and search and rescue related for us aviators. And many webinars I've heard her talking about the vast areas that she covers and looks after. And that's we are very, very fortunate to have someone like Sankey that's so passionate about safety that's willing to do these webinars. And, you know, this is all on their free time. And it's just passion that grows and builds it. Sankey, thank you very much for being involved in this yet again. Thank you for being with us tonight. And I'd love to hear your bit on our safety campaign.
Thank you, Franz. Can I share screen? Okay. So thank you so very much to everyone, and thank you for everybody that's taken the time to take care of their own safety. I'm still with SASA, the South African Search and Rescue Organization, and obviously we join hands so others may live. So even before you depart, specifically for the guys that's been on the ground for so long, are you really planning? Have you planned your flight? Are you and your aircraft really current, technically sound? It's important. Sometimes we just jump into our aeroplanes and we think we can remember and everything is going to be okay. And then it ends up in such a sad scenario sometimes. Proper planning versus kick the tires, light the fires. Guys, I've seen that. I've witnessed that in real life, how we kick the tires and light the fires. Do you carry an ELT? That very expensive thing? Is it properly registered? I will just share something with you. It actually happened this week. We were hunting for 4 days for an ELT, fortunately not a missing or a crashed aircraft, but it had 10 previous owners and I got back to number 10. So guys, it's important. If you carry an ELT, make sure it's properly registered, because that's going to determine whether we take you or we rescue you while you're still alive. It's really important. Those things tells us a lot, and when we have those ELTs, we will rescue you as quickly as we can. Sometimes before you can phone your wife. Your weather at your departure destination and en route. Do you really have a plan B? Weather is ugly. Weather can change terribly quickly. Please make sure you have a plan B. I think the one very big thing we learned from the accident with Cliff Pike is that Rob Deploy said, make sure you have an out. Do you have an out? And does the route include weather and terrain that you're not used to? Please make sure that not everybody in Joburg, if you fly in Joburg, you are not used to mountain flying and those type of things, and it can catch you out, guys. Please make sure that you understand. And then, have you told somebody where you're going? And I'm gonna repeat this question. Have you told somebody where you are really going? Plettenberg Bay and Jeffreys Bay is not the same place. So when you go missing because you told your wife you're going to Plet, and you told your girlfriend you're going to, or you're going with your girlfriend to Jeffreys Bay, makes a big difference in a search and rescue. Please tell somebody where you are really going. Have you filed a flight plan? Have you filed search and rescue? We are there for you. It's a free service. I don't understand why we're not using this. It's terribly, terribly difficult when you get a phone call this time of night, it's dark, the weather's bad, and somebody is not where they're supposed to be, they're missing. And now you need to try and start a search and rescue from absolutely nothing. People, please, it's for your own benefit. And then obviously, if you are flying without flight plans, please tell somebody when they can expect you back. Tomorrow morning might just be too late. Okay, now you've departed. If you filed a flight plan, please activate your flight plan, either on RT. If you're not on RT, if you can't get hold of someone on RT, phone the center and tell them to activate your flight plan, or use a relay. It's all available ways to activate your flight plan. People, if it does not feel right, it is not right. Turn around, land, sort it out. Squawk and talk, or squawk or talk. Don't wait until it's too late. The other day we had a scenario where the guy was out of fuel, and by the time he told us he's got a problem, it was really difficult to get him onto an airstrip in a mountain range. Please, it's important. Use those things. When you use the emergency squawk or the loss of communication squawk, it goes red in the radar centers at ATC, and it also makes an alarm. And this will be actioned immediately by ATCs, and they will report it to us, and we will monitor your emergency and action accordingly. Pan versus Mayday. Don't be scared to use these things. That's what they're there for. Pan, we all know it's an emergency, a condition concerning the safety of the aircraft, but obviously not, you don't require immediate assistance. Like a door opening in flight landing, gear not extending, sick passenger. Mayday, distress. People use that word Mayday so that we know you need, you're in imminent danger and you're absolutely requiring immediate assistance. Engine failures. You don't know. I always say to the people, you do not know how bad the distress is until you've landed safely. So don't be scared. We will watch you. That's what we do. What is really important for us when you shout that Mayday call? Who are you? Where are you? What's wrong? And what's your intentions? And I can share that with you with the Sims search and rescue operation in Mozambique. That was exactly what went wrong. When he shouted Mayday, the airliner that picked up the Mayday did not ask him where he was. So all we got is, I'm diverting to Beira. And it was just a very big area of search in a foreign country. So, because with that information, obviously we can start responding to the correct area and start looking for the right person. You've gone down, what do you do? Who do you phone? People, these numbers are so important. They man 24/7, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, doesn't matter. And these are the numbers of your duty SMCs. An SMC is a search mission coordinator. It's an air traffic controller with a special skill trained. So under SASL, these guys and girls make sure that when you're in trouble, the right people will come and look for you. Don't phone a friend. Don't ask the audience. I promise you these guys can do the job. Interesting. Do you know what's in your first aid kit? We all know that you're supposed to have a first aid kit in your aircraft, but how many of you know what's in there? If you had to use your first aid kit, would you know how to bandage a wound? Do you know how to use the disposable resuscitation aid? Big word. Do you know how to splint a broken arm? Have you ever used a fire extinguisher? The reason why we're doing this is obviously I've had some discussions with a person who has survived an aircraft accident, and he stayed on a mountain for a few hours before we could rescue him. And obviously those are the type of things that suddenly he had to figure out how to use these things. Survival kit ideas, people, and these are just extra ideas. Please make sure that you've got water, even if you're just flying around the patch. A lighter, a lightweight space blanket. In this scenario, the poor guy was sitting on a mountain. It was ice cold. A pocket knife. He had to cut himself loose. A compass, a mirror, so that you can make contact. An umbrella. Why? You're not going to use it for rain. You're actually going to use it to catch water if your water's finished. A PLB. It's a nice present to all the pilots' wives out there. For the ones who doesn't know what to buy your husbands anymore, a PLB is a wonderful gift. And then also people a power bank, so that we can keep contact with you and keep you up to date on your rescue. Smartphones are awesome. There are so many. Find My iPhone, AirNav Pro, flight tracking, spot trackers, Live 360, Glimpse, WhatsApp live location. There are too many to list them. Please make sure that your family has access to them so that when you're in trouble, they can help us to find you. Write the logins and passwords down and put it somewhere where it can be accessed in times of need by a family member. iPhones are terribly difficult to get information from if you do not have that iPhone password. We've been there, it was really difficult. And then obviously, if you've got other people tracking you with your Spot or your spider tracks or all those things, make sure that whoever tracks you know. When they're not sure whether you might be missing or in trouble, make sure that they know who to contact. And they need to contact the ARCC immediately. It is so important that we do that. Don't forget to cancel your search and rescue. A few tips to remind you for your SAR cancellation. Wear your wedding ring on the other hand. It will bug you. And you will remember to cancel your search and rescue. Put a piece of tape on your car key so that you can't put it in your ignition and start your vehicle. Put your phone upside down in its case so that why is my phone like that? It will just trigger that. When you cancel on frequency, state that you are canceling your search and rescue. People, it's not recommended. A lot of things can happen from your approach to where you actually get on the ground and the vlakvark run in front of you and you are actually hurt and you're bleeding. So we prefer that you cancel your search and rescue when you're safe on the ground. If you really cannot phone to cancel, SMS or WhatsApp one of the duty SMC numbers. Please just tell us who you are and where you know on which leg of your flight you're canceling your search and rescue. And that's all from me. Please, please, people, keep it safe. We are going into bad weather. Remember, mountains in cloud still exist, and they hurt. So if you can't see them, it doesn't mean that they've gone away. Please take care of yourselves, and remember that we are there for you 24/7, 365. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sankey. Yeah, just a quick note on that. When Sankey said earlier how important it is to have the correct equipment, and she was referring to phoning you before you get to phone your wife. She was referring to me. She phoned me before I had the chance to even look at my phone. It was ringing, and it was Sankey. Are you okay? Is there where can we come fetch you? You know. And I'm not sure if she was more surprised to hear me on the other side all fine, or if I was more surprised that it was her phoning me. To me at the time, I thought it was out the blue and random, but it wasn't. You know, it was very precise. Thank you very much, Sankey. Very insightful things. And guys, you know, once we get this video live and shared to everyone, I would suggest maybe just having a look through it again, looking at your checklist or your emergency bag and what you'd want in there for worst case scenarios, and you know, spend a couple of bucks. I mean, the couple of rand that's going to cost you to do that would literally save your life. I think it's definitely worth it. And thanks for sharing that, Sankey. Amazing. Always good to hear from the experience and the knowledge people who've been on the other side, who knows what it takes to get you out alive. So guys, I'm very honored and I'm very excited to hear what Cindy Besser has to say. Cindy Besser's a ATC at Cape Town and a very big part and a driving force at MAYDAY SA. Now I've also had the privilege of having a little bit to do with MAYDAY SA with the same accident I was talking about, and very similar situation. 2-3 days after the accident, my phone was ringing maybe once or twice a day from different people, and they were all part and parcel of MAYDAY SA, trying to help me mentally get through what happened. And for me, it was quite bad for roughly about 2 weeks. That mental image of final approach, twin engine failure, needing to turn around, not really knowing what you're turning around to. That image got stuck with me. And the MAYDAY SA guys helped me through that, coached me through it, helped me see clarity, move on with life, deal with it. And I suppose it also helped that I think 3 days after the incident, we got in a 182 and went to go race the race for rhinos in Botswana. So, you know, get back on the horse also helps. Cindy, thanks very much for joining us. We're really excited to have you guys part of it. I'm a massive fan of MAYDAY SA. I really look forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much. The main aim for us being here is to have a presence on this forum so that people do know they have somewhere to reach out to. Just to know who we are, what we do, but most importantly, how to actually get hold of us. So we believe that part of an aviation safe culture also includes mental well-being and being mentally sound, not just technically sound, as Sankey referred to with regards to the aircraft. So part of what we do is debriefing and diffusing sessions, and we often find that a lot of the value and power comes from the actual session and unpacking, not necessarily always the content that is being discussed, but the process. So who we are and who we support, we are volunteers and we are peer-based support. We support all aviation license holders, their families, their colleagues and friends in crisis, and I will unpack the crisis in the next slide. So we are trained to debrief and diffuse, but we also know when and how to refer if that is necessary to take it further. Normally, a diffusion session or debriefing session is capped at 2. So what type of crisis was I referring to? Professional, that could be a problem with your medical, a problem with your license, that type of thing. Personal, whether it be divorce, financial struggles. Then accident incidents, whether you were involved in or have witnessed one of the two. And lastly, trauma. So trauma could be in any capacity. Obviously, it ranges from things like crime, death. It's anything that happens that is outside the range of usual human experience. That's classified as trauma. So unresolved trauma, when would you need it? So trauma, if it's unresolved, it could lead to acute stress disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder, which is basically the most destructive form of stress. If you find that your everyday coping mechanisms are not serving you or they're non-existent, if you're feeling isolated, like Quiver spoke about having humility, to just reach out to us, peers, we will remain neutral, but we feel that we have better knowledge and understanding of your actual environment. If you are afraid to report because you fear loss of license, we can relate to that. And then that word, pandemic, that needs no explanation to 2020 and the devastation that it's brought to this world, especially our industry that is bleeding, and there are lots of lives and livelihoods being affected by this. So MAYDAY SA decided to step in with a campaign called Caring During COVID. And we've had a few webinars and many handouts in the form of PDF that we've sent to groups, but we've also shared on social media, and that are all available on our website. So if you do need to or would like to look into all of the topics covered, that just gives you an idea of the look of what we're doing. So when you see us posting it on Facebook or on LinkedIn, that is the type of thing that we've addressed. The topics have been real, they've been relevant, and they've also been quite well timed, I think. Identity as an aviator, financial stress, that type of thing. And it's ironic that a lot of companies have platforms like ICAS, but when they're in a struggle or a business rescue practice type of thing, those resources aren't available. The time where you might just need them the most, it's not available to you. So we've stepped up with this type of idea. And please do take a look for all the topics that were covered. It's quite useful information. I have permission to share this, and this is support that was offered in 2020 to general aviation and recreational aviation. There were accidents at Springs Airfield, Lanseria Airport, Wonderboom Airport, and group debriefings were done to business owners, to students, and to the flight schools. So sometimes it's better to do a group diffusion or debriefing in a situation like this where there's very many people involved. And from that, it could lead to an individual session. So we do feel that we've made a difference there. And then that is our values in serving you. They're pretty self-explanatory. You can read through them. But we would just like to encourage whoever reaches out to us to know that it's a safe space. You can discuss anything with us, and that we don't work or report to anyone. We really are there for the aviators. And then the most important thing is, how do you get hold of us? First port of call is the phone number, and you specifically have to ask for MAYDAY. So the number in red there is what you dial, but you ask for MAYDAY and somebody will get back to you. There are other avenues just to see what we're about. You can send us messages. My suggestion is to save this. Take a screenshot now if you need to, or write it down if you need to, but save it as a business card. That way it's easy to access when you need it quickly, and it's also easier to send on, whether it be to a group or to an individual that can just find what they're looking for, save it straight away, and are able to dial us if they need us. So please take notes and save and share.
Thank you, Cindy. That's great. Yeah, guys, I just want to reiterate what Cindy said. It's absolutely true. MAYDAY SA is a place for you to have people to, as a sounding board, use a sounding board. You're going through something, you're going through some stress, you feel like it's just maybe getting a little bit ahead of yourself. You know, catch it early. You know yourself, you know your limitations as a human being, and what Cindy referred to, you know, especially what we've gone through now with the COVID, with our entire industry coming to a standstill. I mean, the financial stresses that leads to the emotional stresses, that leads to the physical ailments, that it's all connected. And it really makes you a much better person, in my opinion, to reach out, you know, ask for someone to just listen to you. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe you just needed that one conversation. Maybe it leads to, you know, lifelong friendships. Because that's definitely what I felt with my experience. There was no ways where you've spoken at, you know, every single time. It was just a conversation to see how can we get you through this, buddy. And that's what they're there for.
And you don't need to feel isolated.
Absolutely. You're not alone. I know it's a cliche. Everyone's been saying it, but it's really true. And none of us are in this alone. We're all in this together. We're a unit, and we all got to pull each other up, you know, from the dirt, dust each other off, and get back to our proposed normal lives again. Cindy, thank you very much. I really, truly appreciate your input and the work you guys do. It's amazing. Thank you. Okay, so we got an interesting one. Lauren, who is from SA Weather Services, and Lauren's been in a whole bunch of our webinars, and she's come along quite a number of years doing her presentations on, you know, at events with regards to weather, what to look out for. And Lauren's going to do a bit next. You're going to notice it's recorded. She's not here. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but let's have her go.
Okay, fine, thanks. If you can share my picture now because it's got Lawrence on it. She's transmitting live from, what is that lovely island, Tristan da Cunha, south of it, Gough Island. That's where she is at the moment. So I'm going to do it via my PC, but it is recorded. So a bit of a tricks here, hand of tricks. Everybody just hang in with me. Share screen, I'm got it now, thanks. The audio is going on. You can listen to that so long, and then you can share my video. You can put it on. Lauren's face is on that.
All right. So to end things off, I'd like to touch on 2 available weather models that are out there. I know there are a lot more.
It was very soft my side. I don't know if you can bump up the volume on your side.
Done.
Although I mean guys with more hours.
Better?
But these 2 are very more profound, and they are very free. Website from the South African Weather Service.
There we go. Yeah.
And it is again a website for you, made for you, and there is also an email address that you guys can write to with your complaints, ideas, anything like that. So that is why you need to give your license number so that we can see how many pilots are using the website and how useful it is for you guys. All right, so just a quick run through. We've got the forecast, so it gives you color-coded tags, which highlights all the important things like that. And if you do hover over the highlighted and underlined sections, it gives you a little detailed wording of what is standing there. You can also get your warnings also color coded like that, your takeoff data for all your major airports, and also going into then your aero sports tab, one of my favorites. We can start at the top there at central interior. So if you go in there, you get cloud cover, convected cloud base, your winds, all those times. You get an outlook as well and it gives a day 1 and a day 2 forecast. So the current day, which is then, for example, today, and then tomorrow. Also, then you get a cloud forecast only, which looks like that. And again, today and tomorrow is displayed because the model's based forecast is in the first 2 to 3 days, the most accurate time period. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to see when it's last been updated to see if you are looking at the newest data. Spot graph map looks like this, and you can click on any of those red dots. Also on the names at the bottom, there's Pietermaritzburg, Pretoria, and those are specific coordinates for those locations, as well as the aerodromes that's specifically on those coordinates for you. Again, you'll see today, and at the top right corner there, you can go to next day, and it gives you tomorrow, which is very nice. It gives you a vertical cross-section of the atmosphere at that specific coordinate, and it gives you all the winds, gives you relative humidity there in the green shades, as well as your temperature for all the levels. Also get then a thunderstorm probability map, which is also quite handy. It gives you just a quick overlay or oversee of what is expected for the day. Observational tab, again, you get your color-coded metas highlighting all the specific important details. Radar, and I know what you all are thinking when available, it shows you picture as such, and you get your 50-kilometer images and 75 images as well. We also have a radar and satellite merged forecast model for your winds as well as other radar images. Also webcams, which are quite handy for quick ops. They are updated frequently. I think they update every 5 minutes, especially quite handy there for Pietermaritzburg and Kruger, if you want to fly more to that escarpment, to be able to see when that low cloud is dissipating. Domestic, we have lots of goodies there. SIG charts we have, which are available 4 hours before the validation time period. So that's all those 0, 0, 0, 3, 6, and 9. And if you don't know which one is currently available, you can always click on most recent. Also your block winds and bar winds, which are quite handy as well. You'll be able to also even work out your own horizontal visibility, horizontal turbulence, sorry, rather. Quite handy as well. If they do appear blank, then there's sometimes then a technical problem with the model itself, and that data didn't come through, or there's a delay at operations. A quick phone call to AWC or to any of our forecasts regions, we will try our best to sort that out, to give you any information then that we have available. The last two, flight briefing and international tab, you can then get a briefing, you get advisories there by international, which gives you volcanoes for some dust, if there is any eruptions, as well as tropical cyclones, if there is any developing there in the Mozambique Channel. Your briefings and your departure list information, saving flights, you can schedule them, so you can always put together a little flight log of all your weather information, which is quite handy. And then your graphical SIGMET and AirMet charts looks like such. Just a quick overview of the expected forecasted hazards that you can expect for the day over our whole entire FIR. You can click on those little drops, and it gives you the name of the hazard that is expected, as well as then all the coordinates for the whole entire polygon. Then again, the SIG chart is also available again for international. So you've got the regions of Asia, Australia, Europe, and for those specific 3 hourly times. All right, so Windy TV, the great available model as well, or rather display unit. It has 3 models that it displays: ECMWF, GFS, as well as Meteo Blue. Sorry. So here are the models at the bottom here, and you can click between the three, whichever is available. Normally, Meteor Blue is not always available in this big display. But when you call up a Meteor table, it then becomes available, which makes it handy because then you can compare the three models, which is sometimes better than just to have the one. You get to know them as well, where GFS is the global model, 22-kilometer resolution, and other data that it sometimes uses is 28 resolutions or 26 resolutions, I think. And you've got then your ECMWF, which is a 16-kilometer resolution, other information sometimes given to you at a 9-kilometer resolution. And you can see there's already discrepancies in the models regarding your winds. And so it's a good thing to compare the models, try and get to know them, and see how they do with your actuals. So GFS is quite robust, very good at giving you what type of weather you are looking at system-wise. EC, she's a very excited model, especially when it comes to precipitation. She loves to over-forecast that. Meteor Blue, fairly new, but currently it's doing quite well in terms of temperature forecasts. Other cool things about Windy TV is you've got your display icons here, and here at the bottom you can always go to more layers and you can choose which ones you'd like to have displayed in this column here. Here at the bottom you can go between EC and GFS and compare them with your cloud or whichever layer you have now chosen. You can then compare them by just clicking back and forth between the two models just to get more of an idea of what the forecast is. You can, so this is a cloud, for example, that's overlaid on your winds, and you can go to just seeing high cloud, just seeing low cloud, fog, or whatever parameter you prefer to look at for that day. Another cool feature that they've brought in is your satellite, which is nice because you can start then seeing if there's any new developing cues or thunder showers that might then start moving into your flight path that you have chosen for the next hour or so, to see your wind and directions. Are they going to then start blowing them into your region, and will they be there when you get back, or will they be there at your destination? So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your time. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'm sure that the panel will be able to help you guys with those questions. If you do feel like asking me a question specifically, there is my email address, and I will do my utmost best to answer you as best I can, or at least get someone for you to help you. But I will definitely answer you as soon as I can. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lauren. I will send her a WhatsApp message and thank her. This isn't going to work. She's not going to hear me right now. Thanks, Clovis. Thanks for running all of that. I think it went great. Amazing. I mean, I've gone onto that website before. I definitely have, but I had no idea that so much functionality, and I think that's a huge tool to have with for your flight planning. I think that's magical. Excuse me. Okay, guys. So let's have a look at some of the questions that have come in. I've scanned a little bit. I can't see too many questions, but I can see some amazing people that have joined us tonight. You know, thanks Cole, thanks Craig Wood. I did put a little bit thingy there, Craig Wood. I really think you guys should go support him and Aviation for SA and his new app, and just also to keep up to date with all the latest regulations, etc. Also super important from a safety point of view, obviously. Who also got you under procedures asked concerning all the accidents and concerns of late directly related to flight training, ATOs, Bethlehem Springs, Warrnamboom, how to roll out this campaign to ATOs. So we've definitely invited a lot of ATOs to attend and join us on this. But I think it definitely needs to come exactly from guys like yourself, Johan, that just, you know, prods, reminds when you walk in there talking to someone, the next time you see your instructor, the next time you are in that vicinity, you know, just prod the guys. Just say, hey, why aren't you on these things? Or if you are on, great, get your buddies on. You know, that's exactly why we're doing this. But you can, wat sy ou sê in Kobus, jy kan die perd na die water te vat, maar jy kan nie laat drink nie.
You can also alles kop, but this is one thing we're also planning, if I answer your question, Johan, is that, yes, it is a concern, and we're preaching to the converted every time, is by invitation to go to ATOs. For instance, I remember we went to Blue Chip last year and go there, and we'll give a presentation live, because it's becoming possible that we don't have to Zoom. But yeah, surely, but the invitations are going out, like Francis said.
Yeah, and Johan, just so you know, I mean, this is one form. I know from us, you know, like my company, Pilot Insure, we do a lot of safety evenings and small events to ATOs where we'll have, you know, 10, 15 instructors and 20, 30 students there. So there are other initiatives that's going on that people maybe just don't know about, you know, all over the place. But we're definitely getting there, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback, and there's definitely a lot of positivity amongst the, I almost want to see air school fraternity towards safety. So the guys are definitely doing their bit. You know, I need to say that. They're definitely focused on safety, which is a really great thing, not just for us now sharing airspace, but it's a really positive thing for future aviators. It's very good. Okay, let's try and look at some more. Kobus panelists, guys, if you see any questions and you want to jump in and answer them, go for it while I'm scanning through.
There is definitely one that I think by answering Athol France about his question, I'm not sure if it's on the panel, you can read it. I thought that
Would you like me to read that? Okay, sure.
Yes, that's
yes.
One.
Okay, so Athol France asked, Athol, good evening, thanks for joining us. Athol asked, I've always believed that all private pilots and national pilots should be required to undertake a full day CRM at a recognized training institution every 2 years, much like the English language requirement. There is no doubt that this will reduce accidents.
I said to Athol, I cannot agree more. We're busy with various, since I've started flying with CRM, I've always been busy with CRM. The problem is sometimes some of the institutions do ask a lot of money. There are new institutions. I'm under 2 or 3 different ATOs that I can, for instance, go and help out. Incidentally, 43 in Port Alfred, I'm flying there tomorrow. They've got 22 cadets. They don't even have a PPL. But they're international guys, and they thought it good. So somebody come and sit and talk with them about human factors. Now, you know, and it's typically a 2-day session, which is the shortest initially you can do. We used to do 4 or 5 days in the airlines, but for them it is fine. We've done it before to go and do that. So if somebody needs some assistance in there, there are some institutions that can do it, but there are also a lot of us working under certain ATOs that also can assist. And for sure. My son is, for instance, an instructor already. He's without a job, but he hasn't done any CRM except for what I banged into his head here at home. The same with the English language. And it's something I think for Neil and them at GAS that I know that Baron Foster is very busy with that at the moment, looking into legislation. But again, we don't have to wait for legislation to do the right thing. And even if it's just go and sit and talk with the guys, human factors, leadership, that mystical thing called airmanship. Remember seamanship, airmanship. To go out there and go and sit and check to the guys. We don't have to exchange papers, but we can always let the CIO know, listen, these guys have done a course in CRM, whether it's initial or not. Human factors CRM, to me, the same thing. So very, very valid question.
Absolutely. And I think, I think that's been on a lot of people's minds for a long time. And I really think with the new CIA's GAS approach, all of those things will come to light, and something will be done about it. I'm sure. So I'm very optimistic that we'll see some very positive changes. Okay, anything else? I mean, we've got a lot of thanks and a lot of congratulations, and Quibus, everyone loved your presentation, and everyone thought that Cindy's presentation was amazing. Cindy, thanks again just for telling us what MAYDAY SA is all about, getting it into the little bit of exposure. I'd also like to thank Rob for always being around, Rob Jonkers, always lending his support and help and guidance in a lot of things that we do, and Hunker also on the background. And then, of course, my trusty Steve, David LaRue, who keeps an eye on things on the back end and fields questions when it gets a bit too hectic. That's our presentation. We hope that you enjoyed it. If there are any other questions that you have, please feel free to, ask any one of us on this panel. We're all 100% open to answer you offline and get involved in helping you offline. We're all volunteers. We all do this for the love of aviation, for the love of safety and flying. It's not an on and off switch. You're either that person or you're not. So we 100% here to help and assist where we can. Thank you very much, guys. It's really been amazing. Neil, would you like to jump up and say something for us?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just on behalf of Aero South Africa, thank you for joining our session today. We hope you found it beneficial. To all the speakers and to France and the team behind the scenes, a very big thank you for all your efforts. And we'll see you at our next webinar coming soon, next week. Thank you, everybody, and take care.
Thanks.